the signals between Japan and the US seem to be more than just the normal noise. It seems to be some kind of fundamental shift maybe taking place in terms of the relationship between the two. And when I look at the numbers in Japan, the thing that really jumps out to me is that Japan's outward investment, not portfolio investment, but fixed capital investment, so FDI, has absolutely exploded in the last 5 or 6 years. If you look in 2015, Japan had 150 trillion yen of outward. It's like 1.5 trillion US dollars. If you were to look today, that's more than doubled in that time. The visual image here is just a giant fire hose of capital leaving Japan to build factories and facilities. The numbers that I saw suggested that Japan's outward investment into Thailand and India in the last few years has each exceeded its outward investment into China. Here comes the controversial part. Like, whenever Japan has felt threatened by the United States, I mean, the last time this happened, if we just rewind the history books, it turned to Southeast Asian colonies to overcome its lack of what it has at home, which is people and energy and food. And if you look, this looks to me like a very similar kind of response. But in any event, Japanese businesses are responding to what's going on with gusto, and this is accelerating. Like, this isn't just a long-term trend. This is going exponential. The upshot is, like, everyone always talks about how Japan's GDP isn't grown. In 2015, Japan had 4.4 trillion of GDP in US dollars. Fast forward to 23, it was 4.2 trillion. So in 8 years, GDP went down a little bit, according to these numbers, and all in US dollars. GNP, which is national product. So remember, no one ever pays attention to GNP, because unless you're looking at a weird country like Ireland, it's always pretty close. But that's not the case with Japan, and it's increasingly diverging in a huge way. Mm-hmm. So GNP in 15 was 5.4 trillion. Today has gone from 5.4 to 6.6. So you've seen over, roughly 20% growth in Japan's national product. So this includes the stuff that Japanese companies are producing not on Japanese soil in that 8-year period. And that is a completely different story than the common narrative of Japanese stagnation. The amount of income that those assets are now throwing off, it's an extraordinary amount of foreign currency-based earnings, and how that plays into sort of the balance sheet setup, how Japan might intervene into the yen, or you might have these compiling effects where the yen begins to strengthen. That could be a self-reinforcing sort of process because you have this huge, net positive international position. There's a lot to tease out here, but that's my sort of initial fun way to think about it is like, is this the Japanese empire just much nicer and not with all the slavery and stuff?
I just wonder if maybe some of this US-Japan tension was already baked in, and maybe Trump is like accelerating it or making it a little more bare. And I think Ishiba's personality and his success so far has something to do with that too. Yeah,
I think it probably accelerates it, but this was going on first. It really started to accelerate during Trump 1, and maybe that was a key factor. But I mean, my instinct is to say that this is largely bottom-up economic logic at work, that you have Japanese companies that have been historically sitting on a ton of capital without a strong incentive to invest it. And something has switched in that incentive structure where now you're seeing really strong growth and investment, even though they've determined that they can't or don't want to locate that in Japan, whether that's because the workers aren't available, whether that's because domestic policies just aren't favorable. Whatever it is, I think it's probably mostly that, just kind of seeing the opportunity, seeing in some sense kind of the all clear to go do this and take advantage of it in a way that wasn't there before. Maybe it's a rising confidence by Japanese companies. I don't know exactly, and that's an area that I think we have to really think about more carefully and do some additional research. But I think the two things combine, that fear isn't a great accelerant, but fear and greed together are always going to be much more powerful.
I think some of the lessons too from a lot of the recent conflicts that we've seen in the last 6 months, whether it's Ukraine's drone assault on Russian strategic air assets, or whether it's Israel bombing Iran, even aspects of the India-Pakistan war. Like, one of the reasons people are not afraid of Japan is they think of Japan as this graying population, super old, demographics are against it. There's no way they're going to be able to project force across all of East Asia. Well, I don't know. We're seeing that if you've got superior technology and a superior level of industrial expertise and things like that, that maybe you can punch greatly above your weight. So if Israel can do it, it just did to Iran. I don't think Japan is going to resort to this. And there would have to be a similar cultural sea change in how they're approaching things if they were going to have the stick to back up the carrot. I think we do have to reassess some of our assumptions about what is possible from a security standpoint, because Japan has plenty of resources if it really wanted to engage in the type of modern strategic warfare that we're seeing all across Eurasia right now.